So the narcissist, with all of that newfound money, well, how do you suppose the narcissist would want to go out spending that money? Think maybe you might want to go to some shows. Maybe you could get some nice VIP tickets and seats with that money. A little clout, because, now you've got some connections here. You can start really living it up. Mainly, that money is going to be spent for new supply because the narcissist has to have a supply all the time. So now with that money, the narcissist can afford to have an even bigger supply. That's going to make him look like the big man, the big woman about town. I can dress really flashy. I can look like I've got clout. I have a couple women on my arm. I'm going to have a couple men on my arm. And hopefully I might run into one of my past girlfriends or boyfriends, and they can see me all dressed up to the nines. Well, that's exactly what the narcissist did. I can buy strippers, big rooms at hotels, penthouses, and we can have great parties. We can have all the booze we need. We can have all the drugs we need. Let's swing from the chandeliers. We're going to town. I am in the big leagues now. If you thought that the narcissist had 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5 parties on the side with that money, the narcissist can afford a larger supply. The narcissist can afford to go out and get, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 8, let's just pack the room. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be an all-night party. Anything goes. This continues on, and you have already gone down the road and you've put the narcissist behind you. The narcissist didn't know that because the narcissist was too busy just having a ball, living it up. Let's max out on everything. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. We're going all in. Fast forward again in time, I'm out of state and I am buying another car. And I had an old boyfriend of mine who knew a lot about cars. And so I asked him, I said, look, I found this vehicle and it's about 6 or 7 miles from where you live. Could you go test drive it for me? It turns out that vehicle was good, and he sent me some pictures of it. And so I said, okay, I'd like to buy the vehicle. So I said, I'm going to fly there and I'll help you work on the car. I do work on cars, incidentally. So he said, that'd be fine. We can work on it together. This is the part that's interesting because I had not heard from the narcissist for a year. So now I'm at my boyfriend's house, and this was somebody I dated like about 15, 18 years ago, and we left on good terms. So I'm over there, and my cell phone is on the counter, and all of a sudden it starts ringing. And so I didn't think anything of it. We're sitting on the couch watching TV, just ate dinner, having a glass of wine. And so I walk over to the countertop, pick up the phone, look at it, and I just put it back down. Just acted like, it's nothing. It's one of those nothing calls. Phone rings again. So I'm thinking, can't be the same person. So I go over to the counter again, pick up my phone, look at it, and it's the narcissist. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. So I just left it there. And now he's looking at me like, do you need to get that call? I said, no, I really don't. And I kind of had a sly grin on my face because what I really thought was funny is that I'm at another man's house, my old boyfriend's house. He's looking at me like, yeah, he's a pretty sharp guy. It rang again. And I have to say this, I was tempted, but I didn't do it. I was tempted to have him pick up the phone and say hello. And he has a really, really deep voice. And I thought, oh, that would be, that would be interesting. But I didn't do it. So anyhow, he says, that's somebody you want to talk to? I said, no, not interested in the slightest. All of this time has gone on, and the narcissist has just been having himself one hell of a good time with, all kinds of escorts, strip clubs, whatever you can think up, I'm sure it took place. But now all of a sudden, the narcissist is wondering where one of the key supply went to. Disappeared. We all know the narcissists have very, very large egos, and they're to hide that very frail individual inside. The narcissist just really, when he came into that money, just went off the rails. So really felt that intuitively that that's what was going to happen. So I didn't want to be anywhere near that person. To this day, a few people have asked me, and that lady friend of mine that called me and informed me, she said, well, I'm just going to say this so any of you might be curious. Did that person ever give you any money from that inheritance? And what do you think? This is a narcissist now. What do you think? The answer is no, 0. And we had those conversations prior to that happening. What would you do if you came into this kind of money? We had those conversations. So now we know the keyword integrity comes into play. None of that happened. Okay, thank you for checking in, and I'll catch up with you real soon. Bye-bye.